Alright guys, thank you for coming to my channel. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day. My first piece of advice for you is not to wildcard this week, and I'm going to tell you why. With FA Cup and EFL Cup games yet to be played, we still don't know the fixture taker that is actually going to look like for a few more weeks. So teams like Crystal Palace, Man City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and Newcastle still have unplanned blank game weeks as well as possible double game weeks in the next few weeks and months moving forward into the rest of the season. Gameweek 24 and 31 are where creators like myself, Ben Krellin, Andy from Let's Talk FPL, and FPL Raptor are all looking to wildcard in those weeks, and it makes sense. Those weeks hold the highest fixture kind of swings that we'll see, as well as a lot of teams going into a nice run of form hopefully, and we'll have a lot more information about which games we should be seeing in the next few weeks. No matter what though, having a deep squad on your wildcard is a necessity going into this final phase of the season, so I would recommend bringing in a deep bench moving forward for the next 15 or so games as we approach the end of the season. So I would make transfers for those accordingly. If you did hit the wildcard button already though, I do have a squad prepared for you with my personal picks for the Game Week 22 wildcard, but again, this is not recommended, so unless you need it, like you have injuries or transfers that you really want to make, I would not go with this option. However, I do have a team and I think it is pretty well set up and I think you could get away with it. So starting out with, this is my squad as it stands right now. I have Leno, Dubravka, Gabriel Cucurella, Tarkowski, of course, and then I do have an injury in the midfield with Kieran Dewsbury-Hall. So obviously, if I were to wildcard this week, I would be addressing that. I do think I'm pretty well set up. I have actually already made my transfer, which was to bring in Thiago, as well as take a -4 to bring in Frimpong, who I think I'm hoping that he will at least pay for himself. I brought him in for Dorgu. I think he will be able to pay that debt off against Burnley at home. And I think I just wanted to have a little bit more money in my defense. I know it's pretty expensive, but I think that is where a lot of value this season is. So I'm pretty happy to have him, despite the fact that after the next two games, Liverpool's fixtures do look a little bit more difficult. I think that Frimpong is a good hold, given that Connor Bradley has a broken leg, and Slot seems to like him on that right wing with Salah out. And even as Salah might come back from AFCON, I think that Frimpong might either retain his place on that right wing, or at least just slot it back in at right back. So to start out with, I have this all set up. So to start out with, I have my keepers. I am going to be going with Roafs of Sunderland. I think that Sunderland are just really good at home. I think that he actually has some pretty good fixtures to look forward to. So obviously the next three, Crystal Palace at home, as I said, they're fantastic at home. There's a reason why he is the highest scoring goalie in the game this year. They keep a lot of clean sheets at home and are actually very well organized. And I think a lot of that is down to Xhaka in the midfield, just kind of directing the people who aren't used to the Premier League. So I think that he has been an awesome signing for them. But yeah, so Robin Roafs is going to slot in, and especially for West Ham and Burnley. And then I am actually going to put a little bit more money in my goalkeeper slot. I'm going to go with Henderson as well. These two rotate really, really well. And as you can see, Henderson has some decent games, obviously, moving forward, but especially when Roafs has Arsenal and Man City in these two games, he has Brighton and Burnley. So I think that is a really nice rotation we'll see there. Moving forward into the defense, I like Gabriel. I will keep him in my squad, as well as Cucurella for that nice run of fixtures that Chelsea will be having over the next 8 or so games. I do think that Tarkowski was a bad transfer for me, so I will be replacing him. And who I've gone with is Matty Cash. So if I could find him, Matty Cash is the player that I think that I want. He just always seems to be getting assists. He gets forward a lot. He takes shots from outside the box. And Villa have actually defended pretty well recently over the past few weeks. So I think that Matty Cash, especially with Everton at home, is a good choice this week and moving forward. I know that a lot of these fixtures do look like red, Newcastle away, but Brentford at home is actually fine, despite the fact that I do think Thiago is a good asset. And then Bournemouth away, again, the reason why we have 5 defenders that I think I will be putting a lot of money into is so that they can be rotated. And Matty Cash obviously is a good start no matter what the week. He can always grab an assist or even a goal. So I will be bringing him in. As I said, I took that -4 for Frimpong in my personal team. So I am kind of a Frimpong believer. I will be leaving him in the squad, especially for Burnley at home. I think that he will be a great option and has, some decent fixtures where you could expect some clean sheets. I think that Newcastle at home, they should be pretty tired given the fact that they have played a lot of games recently. So I think Burnley, Newcastle, Sunderland, I think are all going to be good options for Liverpool defenders. And Frimpong is the pick of the litter for me. And then I'm going to get rid of Nico O'Reilly. I think his minutes should be getting reduced with the fact that Ryan Aït-Nouri is back and Nico O'Reilly kind of has looked a bit tired over the last 2 weeks, with Pep saying that he should get a rest soon, despite the fact that they have Wolves, Tottenham, United, all kind of teams struggling to score. I am going to replace him with none other than everyone's favorite defender, Jurrien Timber. I think that he is just a fantastic option this year. I don't think that Arsenal's defense can be ignored. And I think Timber has looked really good on that right back, kind of getting forward, getting behind the defenses. And he's looked pretty threatening over the last 2 games, especially over the cup matches. I think that Jurrien Timber did look like he could have grabbed an assist or a goal even. So I'm happy to have him in the back line. So yeah, those 5, Gabriel, Cucurella, Cash, Frimpong, and Jurrien Timber are my choices here. Moving into the midfield, I will be getting rid of Saka. I don't think that Saka is going to be the player that I want from Arsenal. Let me know if you think that he would be a good option. I think that given the fact that he is 10 mil, I think that that's just a little bit too expensive given the fact that Declan Rice is on free kicks, he's on corners, the same as Saka. They kind of share those, so it's 50-50 for me. And Rice has the most points of all midfielders this season, so obviously he is a good option. And Bukayo Saka is not on penalty duty anymore with Victor Gyökeres taking those, so I think that kind of sways Saka downward, and we want to see Declan Rice in that slot. So I will be putting him in. And I know 7.3 actually is expensive given the fact that Declan Rice is kind of like a 6 or an 8, but I think that he is well worth the price, and he's shown that he can grab 17 points, as you can see, but he also will get DEFCONs, he will get clean sheet points like Saka, and I think that he has a lot of value for only 7.3 mil. Moving forward into my injury, I am going to be holding Dewsbury Hall on my personal team, but for a wild card, I will be getting rid of him and replacing him with Enzo Fernandez, who I think is going to be getting a pretty decent run of games. Obviously, with Chelsea, they have a lot of good fixtures coming up, but I think that Enzo should be playing at least in a 6, if not in an 8 or even a 10 for Chelsea under Rosenior. So I think that he is a really good option, and we kind of have to wait and see where he's going to play under Rosenior, but I think that he should really be slotted into that midfield in most games, and possibly will be getting forward when Caicedo is not suspended. So keep an eye on him moving forward, but as I think it's worth the risk to take him and put him in. I don't think Palmer is worth the risk. Rosenior has kind of said that he is talking with the medical staff, and he should be getting gradually brought back into the first team, and they really want to limit his minutes. So I think that Cole Palmer is a swerve for now. I don't think that we should be spending 10 mil on a guy who's going to get 60 minutes per game, no matter who he is. Moving forward, I will be keeping Wilson in both my personal squad and the wildcard team. He's just on fire, and at 5.5 mil, there's not really too many better options than him. And similarly, I think Wirtz, for the same reasons that I said for Frimpong, I think that he is kind of the steady ship in that Liverpool attack. He's not going anywhere. He'll play on the left wing. If Cody Gakpo gets hurt again, he can play in a false 9. If Ekitike gets hurt again, He's always in the midfield, kind of playing in that 10, kind of floating around, and always seems to be involved, whether it's a second assist or a goal or an assist. So I think that Wirtz is a good option for 8 mil, 8.1 mil, and I hope that he can return, especially against Burnley at home. And I think given the fixtures moving forward, I do expect Burnley at home to be a great fixture. Bournemouth away, actually, Bournemouth's defense is not great. I know that a lot of people have Bournemouth defenders, but they really are in there for DEFCONs, not for clean sheets. And then again, Newcastle, as I've said before, I actually don't think that Newcastle have that great of a defense. They just kind of do play very well at home, as always, so they're kind of more protected by their offense than their defense. So I will be keeping Wirtz, and then Foden I will be replacing. I think that if you could hold this wildcard off, Foden would be decent for these 2 games, or even 3 games, honestly, with Wolves, United, and Tottenham. But I will be replacing him with Rodgers of Aston Villa, who really is just on fire, and kind of everything offensive for Villa does seem to go through him. So I think that Morgan Rodgers is the best option there, and I think that he can overperform his XG. So really, if you're looking at XG numbers, Morgan Rodgers will always look like he is kind of expected to not catch up to them, but he does perform. He's a very talented finisher. He's very creative, and he's kind of one of the reasons why Ollie Watkins is so good right now. So I think that if in lieu of Watkins, as you'll see in my attack, I do not have Ollie Watkins there, I think that Morgan Rodgers is a fantastic substitute. So finally, moving forward into the attack, actually, as you can see in my team, this is the forward line that I would go with. Thiago, Haaland, and Calvert-Lewin all have been in very good form, except for Haaland, but I think that dropping Haaland is a little bit too risky for anybody. If you really are desperate for a rank gain, you could go from Haaland to Watkins, or even Ekitike. I think that those could be an option, but I think that it is risky, and you risk a lot of rank loss if Haaland does return in the next few weeks. Pep did say in an interview that Haaland is tired, and he hopes that Omar Marmoush comes back as soon as possible to kind of relieve him of some of his duties, but I don't think Pep will ever drop Erling Haaland ever unless Haaland is injured. So I think that he is a safe hold and should be good moving forward. If you don't want to keep Calvert-Lewin, I would suggest moving all the way down to a Krupi Jr. or Mane for Wolves. I think those two at about 4.5 mil are very good options, but I think that Calvert-Lewin has proven that he is a good goal scorer. Leeds are always looking for him in the box, and he's been on fire. So he gets goal and an assist. Granted, I don't think that he gets very many bonus points. So if you are looking for a striker who will be grabbing bonus points, Calvert-Lewin is not really your guy. He kind of just sits in the box and waits for balls to come to him. So he's not doing too much. He will have some good hold-up play, but that's not really the way that bonus points are oriented. So Calvert-Lewin, for me, will stay, but I don't expect bonus points. I just hope for, tap-in goals and the occasional assist. So yeah, this will be my wildcard team if I were to be moving into one with Gameweek 22 and moving forward. As you can see, you're going to have a lot of benching decisions each week, but I think that is necessary, and you'll always be getting somebody out of these guys who will be injured or something. So I think that this is a great squad and should have some depth, as well as 1.2 in the bank. So if you wanted to upgrade any of these positions, I did leave a little bit of money in the bank, and I think that if in 2 weeks you say, all right, Wirtz, you've had Burnley and Bournemouth, let's move on to Bruno, you have enough money to move on to Bruno. Now, if you think that Wirtz is not good right now, then save the transfer and just bring in Bruno for Man City, and I believe it is, let's see. Yeah, so Bruno does play Man City and Arsenal in the next 2 weeks, but after that they have a lot of good fixtures. As you can see, Fulham, Tottenham, West Ham, Everton, Palace, all are pretty decent options. I think after these 2 weeks, Bruno will be a good option. So that's why I have left that money in the bank. You should be able to get to Bruno from Wirtz if you have this team with that budget. So yeah, let me know what you think. This is the team that I would go for. I think that it has some differentials, but also has a lot of kind of the more template people like Rice, Timber, Gabrielle, Wilson, Holland, Thiago. I think that they are all, it's template enough, but it's definitely got some differentials who I think could help you gain some rank in the next few weeks. All right, and just moving forward into the live FPL ticker planner, I think that this is based off of the next, let's see, 8 weeks. So what we really are seeing here is just the schedule for teams, and you can see Chelsea has a really great run of forms here. Brentford even have some decent games. I think that there are a lot of teams that you will want to look at, but as you can see, game week 24 kind of is where things do start turning around for a lot of these teams, which is why I think that that is going to be the week where a lot of people do tend to wildcard. Palace have Wolves, Burnley at home. Those really can't be ignored. I think even going back into my team, if Verts and Frimpong, I want to get rid of them after 2 weeks, I would definitely be looking for a Daniel Munoz when he comes back from injury. I think that he will be very popular in the game week 24 wildcard. So if you did want to go early on him and just kind of hold him on your bench for now, maybe have a little bit of money that gains in him that you have invested for those matches, I think that is a good option. Daniel Munoz obviously has shown that he is probably the most electric FPL asset. He just basically is a right winger. He gets goals, he gets assists, he gets defcons. He really does it all. So I definitely will be looking to bring him in game week 24, whether that is through a wild card or through just a regular transfer, possibly for Frimpong or for any of these guys who I don't think are performing at that level. So it could be Kukurea, Gabrielle, Timber, Frimpong, any of them. I think that that will be a good option moving forward. But yeah, this would be my squad if I were to wildcard. Obviously, I'm not going to play the chip, but that is a screen recording of those transfers that I would make. Now moving forward back into the fixture ticker, as you can see, Newcastle do have Wolves this week, and then they have a really tough run of fixtures. So I would not be bringing in, Bruno G, Gordon, Chow, or even a Lewis Hall, despite his pretty decent price. I would say they're kind of a hold, but I would not buy in this wild card or in this round of transfers. So you kind of have to make your own decisions with those kind of guys. But if as far as playing it safe and going with the fixtures, I think that the team that I created is best set up for that. Now you can look at all the XG stats and XA stats and whatnot, and who's most likely to get clean sheets. But I think that having a team that is this deep and has that many, even two very strong keepers, I think that that is going to prove very valuable, especially if anything untoward happens or anything unplanned happens. I think that you will want to have options on the bench. All right, well, thank you for watching. I appreciate you letting me ramble on this wildcard thing. It is fun to always plan a wildcard, and as we get into this part of the season, there will be a lot of weeks where this is a popular type of video, so I will be putting out more of these. Granted, you will be seeing a lot of players that are similar in future videos, but I will be kind of updating it depending on injuries or even transfers in this January transfer window as we move forward into the rest of the season. So with all that being said, I appreciate you watching, and I hope to see you next time. Have a good one.